Alright guys, so I was going to watch this video for research for a main channel video, but then I realized I might as well react to it and like make content out of it, you know? That would be the intelligent thing to do. So, yeah, let's do it. Basically Rachel Zegler kind of like paid lip service to the controversy around all the people like hating on her, and I genuinely don't know what people like are gonna take issue with. So like I need to do research to find out why exactly people are mad about it. So that's the context. Probably don't even care that much. Let's just get into it. Let's also do this at 2 times speed because why don't we?
Well, folks, I guess we found the biggest copium drinker of the year because according to Rachel Zegler, the only reason why her
Ooh.
version of Snow White is getting dogged on the internet is because of the passion for the original. Sure, Jan.
I mean, I agree. It's not the only reason, but the other reasons are kind of stupid. But it's also she didn't even specifically say that it was the only reason. Like this is like these people are so unbearable cuz it's like she's clearly trying to be more conciliatory, right? Like she's not trying to go out on the attack, which is the right thing for her to do, right? As the star of a $200 million movie. And like the reality is that however you feel about like the anti-woke stuff, I personally think most of it is retarded, but it's like if you're like the actual star of the movie, you do have to be conciliatory or just you can't be divisive, right? And so it's like she's trying to be more even-handed, right? She's not just going on the attack like she was at one point. And it's just like these people are still gonna nitpick it. These people are still because they've they've like attached her as a target, right? They've made her a target. She's now the target of anti woke whatever. She's the new Brie Larson basically. So these people are just gonna like take literally everything she says in the most bad faith way possible. And so I like on the one hand, it's like yeah, it's good that companies like Disney are more conciliatory to these kinds of people just because it's better for business. But it's also like on the other hand, it's also like I feel like these people just aren't even worth trying to appeal to because they're not like they're still gonna do this shit. Like they're still gonna nitpick everything that you say and take it in the most bad faith way possible. And it's just like, like what's even the point? It's like the the thing that Disney should be doing is just making better movies. Because when you make a good movie, none of this stuff really matters, right? Like, I think Cynthia Erivo said some really stupid stuff as well, but the movie was like fantastic, so nobody cares. If the live action Disney remakes were like phenomenal, and Rachel Zegler said a lot of this stuff, and then the movie came out and it was phenomenal, I don't think anybody would ultimately care at the end of the day. So, at the end of the day, I kind of don't like anybody in this situation. I guess you could say.
Hi y'all, Snarky cosplay here. As of the time of this video's recording, we are less than 1 month away from the release of the highly anticipated live-action remake of Disney's Snow White. Now, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the drama on this one, right? I mean, come on, we've been talking about it for like 2 years at this point. My god, Rachel Zegler and the Disney live-action remake stream really is the gift that keeps on taking. And by taking, I mean taking years off my life, taking youth away from me, taking time away from me. I mean, I feel like by the time this movie comes out, I'm going to legitimately have gray hair from the stress of listening to the stupid shit in the press as long as we have. So let's get right into it. Apparently, Rachel Zegler was recently interviewed about the movie, and of course, you literally cannot talk about this live-action remake without talking about all the controversy and bad press that it's gotten, which is well-deserved. So Variety reports that she had an interview with Vogue Mexico, and this is supposedly translated from Spanish. I couldn't find the original article in Spanish, but Rachel Zegler was asked about the
You couldn't? I mean, maybe this specific article wasn't linked, but I found it by like getting to an article and then it was just linked to the original. Like they usually do that. Anyways, that's not that important, I guess.
backlash, and this is what she had to say. I interpret people's sentiments towards this film as passion. What an honor to be part of something that people feel so passionately about. We're not always going to agree with everyone who surrounds us, and all we can do is our best. What an honor, except she said it wasn't a real love story and called it creepy, implied that the prince...
Like, it's like that's the thing, right? Like, listen, at the end of the day, it's smart for her to try to like de-escalate, and it's smart of her to not continue going on the attack. But it's just like like these people are not going to like, or I guess you could say that it's just like too late at this point, right? And again, she did to she did make her own bed in that sense, right? Like she just shouldn't have been that divisive. She should not, like, PR wise. It's like I don't understand how you ever thought it was a good idea to criticize the movie that you're making a remake of when you're obviously trying to go for fans of the original movie. Like it's just, again, like I'm not trying to sit here and say that Rachel Zegler doesn't deserve any backlash, but at the same time, I can acknowledge that she made those mistakes. But like at the same time, I can also acknowledge that these fucking people are just so unbearable. They're never like, they're just gonna like continue being performatively outraged. Like, this is a fine statement. It even says we're not always going to agree, but all we can do is our best. Like, this is so stupid.
Agree with everyone who surrounds us, and all we can do is our best. What an honor, except she said it wasn't a real love story and called it creepy and
By the way, I'm just gonna, I guess, I will also just like correct the record on this. So the original Snow White movie is not even a love story. I'm convinced that the people that are mad about like, or that are like insisting that it is a love story, I'm pretty sure you people just like have not seen it since you were kids. So, just as an example, Snow White and the Prince, they do not have a single conversation in the entire movie. That, like, it is like their first interaction is a little creepy. Like, their first interaction is the prince like walking up to Snow White, and then Snow White is like surprised and she starts screaming and running away. And just a tip for all you fellas out there: if a girl starts screaming and running away from you, you take the L. What you don't do is you don't start running after her, which is what the prince did. And then he starts like weird, like bizarrely, like she like runs inside of her castle, and he starts doing this like he starts using his stalker riz and starts like singing at her inside of the castle. Now that happens, right? And to be fair, she does eventually like get over her surprise or whatever, and she starts like being receptive to it, but like that doesn't make the initial action not weird and stalkerish and harassment like it is. But anyways, that whole interaction happens. The prince, and by the way, when I say that Snow White started being receptive to his stalker riz, all I mean is that she just starts like, she like walks up to the window and she starts like swooning or whatever. No conversation is had between the two of them. The rest of the movie happens. They have no interaction throughout the entirety of the movie. Then you get to the end, the prince has done nothing except for sexually harass Snow White. He comes at the end and he sees her dead corpse, and then in order to satiate his necrophiliac desires, he starts like macking on her corpse. And then they presumably live happily ever after. Now, listen. Am I saying all of this to like to try to like cancel the original Snow White movie? No. I'm sure they didn't have any like ill intent in making it. It was made in like the 30s. They didn't know how to make good movies back then. It's fine. I don't care. But what I am saying is that it's not a love story. You can't call the original Snow White movie a love story. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And it's like, yeah, like if you were going to remake it in 2025, you would probably execute some of that stuff differently. Because it's just, some of it's a little weird. Some of it would probably play even weirder in live action. And it's like, if you actually wanted to include a love story in 2025, you might want to give them an, I don't know, actual relationship. You maybe want to have them have like an actual conversation once or twice throughout the runtime of the movie. Like, I don't know, like obviously Rachel Zegler could have worded herself better, but it's like at the end of the day, she's not even all that wrong about what she said. I'm just being honest. Like, my guess is that this person has probably not watched the original Snow White since she was like 6 years old. That's my guess.
Implied that the prince was a stalker.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Implied that they could cut out the part of her co-star, her male co-star, entirely.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows?
I would say instead of an honor, that might be
Weird.
Dude, that's such a, like, that's like obviously a joke. They're obviously not going to cut all of the prince's scenes. That's like her trying to, like, tease things about the movie while also making it clear that she doesn't want to, like she's not just going to, like, spoil the movie. So she's gonna say like a little snarky little line about how, oh, maybe all of his scenes get cut. Who knows? You have to go watch the movie to find out. Like, that's my problem, right? Like, they're like as far as like valid criticisms of Rachel Zegler. By the way, that's a it's a really funny pause. It's like, yeah, like, I think one of her comments, I think it's fair to say that she kind of, like, she didn't explicitly say this. But one of the interpretations that you could make about her comments is that she kind of made it seem like there was something bad about just wanting to find true love and not having further aspirations as a woman beyond that. Right? Because there are going to be some women out there that don't have aspirations for, like, a career or whatever, and they do just want to find true love and be a stay-at-home mom or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there were, like, one of her comments where it's like, I can kind of see how you could take that the wrong way. But it's like, these people are just, like, so bad faith. They're so stupid. And it's just like, well, like, these people to me are more annoying than Rachel Zegler. To be completely honest with you. And that's how I feel with, like, most of these anti-woke conversations, where it's like, are there some reasonable things that you can point out about, like, the woke left and woke left media and movies and TV shows and stuff? It's like, sure. But these people are rarely like, making the valid criticisms that should be made.
Weird.
I'm sorry, I hate that clip, but it came to mind and I have to torture you guys with it too. She then continued, I understand that the conversation comes from the community not wanting to be seen as a monolith, but the reality of being Latino and working in this industry is that we try to represent the entire diaspora. I know where I've been, I represent it in my narrative, and I carry it in my heart every day. No one can ever tell me that it's not a part of me. And then
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't even really know what that means. Let me see if I can understand. Like, this is just, like, weird lefty gobbledygook that I barely even understand what it means. But it's just like it's just kind of cringe. Like, I'm not going to get mad at this. But let me read it again. I understand that the conversation comes from the community not wanting to be seen as a monolith. Does she mean the Hispanic community? Does the Hispanic community care about any of this? But the reality of being Latino and working in the industry is that we try to represent the entire diaspora. Was there a controversy about her representing Latinos badly? Or I haven't seen that. If that's a controversy, I haven't seen it, and quite frankly, I don't care. I know where I've been. I represent it in my narrative, and I carry it in my heart every day. No one can ever tell me that it's not a part of me. If there's like some kind of controversy about, like, other Latinos saying that Rachel Zegler isn't, like, a real Latino for whatever reason, genuinely, I think that type of stuff is just so stupid. I don't even know. I don't know. If not that it necessarily matters, but, like, I'm half Mexican and I'm half Puerto Rican. I don't care. Like, I'm never going to, like, look at somebody who just is Puerto Rican and try to tell her that she's not Puerto Rican. Weird conversations like that are just weird, and I don't care.
and then she pretty much finished it with, we need to love them in the right direction.
We need to love them in the right direction. At the end of the day, I have a job to do that I'm really excited to do. I get to be a Latina princess. I mean, this is just, like, one of those things where it's like, I do wish that we focused, like, less on race when it came to these types of things, right? Like, if you're gonna cast Rachel Zegler as Snow White, I personally don't care. I just don't care about race swaps in general, unless race is, like, a vital role for a character and how that character services the story. I just don't care. An example of a character that you can't really race swap would be, like, Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird, because Atticus Finch's whiteness is literally like his entire purpose in the story, because his purpose in the story is that he is the only white lawyer that is willing to represent a black man in his town. So it's like you can't really race swap him. Snow White's race doesn't actually play like an important or vital role in the narrative, right? It's not like it's not like Snow White is being like racially persecuted. It's not like Snow White is, using her whiteness for something in the plot. Like, it just doesn't, it's not important. So I don't care. So like, I don't care that they cast like Rachel Zegler being Puerto Rican. By the way, Rachel Zegler also is white. Like, she's like half Polish or something. So she is white. Because that's the other part of this conversation that's so stupid, where it's like, now you have people being like, well, she's not white enough. She needs to be fully white. She needs to be pure white. She's tainted by her Puerto Ricanness. And it's just like, you people are weird. I don't like you. Please log off. Touch grass, for the love of God. But at the same time, I would also look at what Rachel Zegler is doing here, and I'd be like, girl, just be normal about it. Like, you can just be Snow White. You don't have to like talk about the fact that you're a Latina princess all the time. Like, you don't have to make a big deal about it. You can just have been cast as Snow White because, you're very talented, which Rachel Zegler is. I don't like, I'm not going to pretend to know behind the scenes if there were or weren't any political reasons for her casting, but like, I can imagine that it had majority of the reason to be for her talents, because she is a great actress. She is a great singer. Because it's like, just to be clear, I'm not going to pretend to know for sure why Rachel Zegler was cast as Snow White, but the Daily Wire 100% cast Brett Cooper for political reasons. They cast her, one, because she is white, because they wanted to make a movie in opposition to the Disney movie. But number two, they cast her because she's a political commentator. She was a political commentator for the Daily Wire. So it's just funny how those two things work.
At the end of the day, I have a job to do that I'm really excited to do. I get to be a Latina princess. Let's just dive right into this. So I think it's interesting. Obviously, if it was an interview with Vogue Mexico, they might have asked for her to lean into the whole Latina aspect of this whole thing.
That's actually a reasonable point. Okay. Fair and balanced coverage from Snarky J.
There have been controversy because of Rachel Zegler's complete lack of a resemblance to the original Snow White. Yes, okay, I've heard plenty of the criticism. I've also heard plenty of criticism that doesn't have anything to do with her being half Colombian. All of my criticism doesn't have anything to do with her being half Colombian or being a Latina.
You know what? Listen, I will fully acknowledge that I just make assumptions about these types of videos. Okay, and you know what? I may have made an ass out of myself. I shouldn't presuppose all of her opinions. And if I was cringe, if I posted cringe on the internet, then I apologize.
Princess. I happen to be a Latina who isn't a princess but would like to be treated like one, and at the end of the day, I'm very much aware that the controversy does not have to do with race. I would argue 99%
I just don't think that that's true.
of the controversy with this movie has to do with the fact that Rachel Zegler has continuously lied about this movie. She claims now that it's an honor, but back in the day, the original was creepy. She wanted nothing.
But it's like, what do you like? Like, first of all, I just disagree. Like, if it was I just don't agree with this. First of all, there was already controversy before she made any controversial comments. Okay, there was controversy with the Little Mermaid actress, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she ever said anything controversial. Did Rachel Zegler make her situation worse for herself? Absolutely. But I also think that the backlash would not be nearly as severe if it was a white actress playing the role and she just like said some dumb things about the movie, or that people perceive to be dumb. Like, if they had gotten Sydney Sweeney, I don't know, it's just like a random name that I pulled out of my hat. If they had gotten Sydney Sweeney to play Snow White, and she's made comments about how the original movie scared her, and that she thought that the interaction between the prince was kind of creepy. Like, I'm sorry, but the backlash would not be nearly as severe. That's just true. If you disagree, there's no way to prove that, but you're wrong and gay, and you should go eat a sock.
To do with it.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney.
Sorry, I was gonna go back. She's like, well, now she said these things, but now she's backtracking. It's like, well, what is she supposed to say? Like what? Like what? Like obviously, like obviously she had her initial feelings, but are you saying that she should just continue being controversial? Are you saying that she shouldn't backtrack for the sake of PR? Like I don't know what you like. The best thing for her to do is to just like backtrack from her comments, try and be a little more unifying. Like I just don't. I don't know why you're taking issue with her backtracking. Like I don't know what. Please tell me how she should navigate the situation.
World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again.
Now, it's a love story about a stalker, and they should cut out the prince entirely because the 1937 one was so antiquated and harmful to the ideas of young women that have...
Again, I don't think that the original Snow White movie is like this awful thing. It's like it's whatever. But like her comments, and by the way, Rachel Zegler's original comments I don't think were this exaggeratory either. But like, and by the way, Disney also doesn't think this because they're still showing it on Disney Plus. But yeah, it's true that like there are some weird things in the original Snow White movie, and if you're going to make a movie in 2025, you would probably just execute them differently.
Of course we need a girl boss Snow White.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937. She's not going to be saved by the prince. She's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
You cannot possibly love Snow White that much if you're that willing to continuously talk about it. I think that whole thing of...
It's also like, did she even... Hold on, let me just pull up those comments again. Because like I don't even think she said she loves it. She says, what an honor to be a part of something that people feel so passionately about. We're not always going to agree with everyone who surrounds us. Like, she's not even saying she loves it. She's just saying that she saw the reaction to it and she was like, oh shit, I should probably start treating this with more respect. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like if you were a good faith actor, you'd be like, okay, she's trying to be more measured in how she's talking about the situation. All right, I can respect that, and then move on with your day. But like, I don't know. I just feel like the people that make careers out of sensationalizing these types of things and like wokeness in media and yada yada yada, like they're obviously not going to have a measured reaction like that. It's just going to be an endless character assassination.
Snow White that much if you're that willing to continuously talk about it. I think that whole thing about loving the people that we disagree with is a really interesting turn of events for her, considering that a few months ago she was making posts on Instagram telling a majority of the country that she hoped they would never find.
I'm going to be honest. These posts were kind of based. Here's the thing. You know what? This moment actually like broke my brain. I'm not going to lie. When it's like, when there was like my brain broke when I realized that people were holding a 23-year-old actress to a higher standard than the president of the United States. When I realized that that Rachel Zegler was getting like more backlash for her comments than the MAGA base, then the man himself got for like falsely accusing Haitian immigrants of eating cats and dogs. It's like when I realized that, when I just realized that, I was like, hold on. I'm supposed to be like outraged at Rachel Zegler for saying this about MAGA when these people voted in the guy that tried to steal the 2020 election? Like, this is what also gets me about this. And it's like, listen, I don't normally get too political on this channel, but it's like, what do you want me to say? Like, I have to give my honest opinion about this. It's like, is it a kind of a dark statement to say that that Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself, like, I hope they never know peace? It's like, is that kind of a dark statement? Sure. But this is a dark situation. Especially where we're at right now in 2025. Like, sure, it's hindsight is 2020, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, you guys voted in the guy that tried to do an insurrection. Like, what? By the way, Rachel Zegler, as a Puerto Rican, like, she just saw, like, Tony Hinchcliffe call Puerto Rico, like, a trash island or whatever exactly. I don't remember exactly what he said. At a Trump rally. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna like freak out because she got emotional and wrote a mean thing about Trump supporters in an Instagram post when she was at like the height of her emotions. When you voted in the guy that did the insurrection, like, I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, how could you say that? Oh my God, bad Rachel Zegler. When you guys have absolutely zero standards for the person that you vote for president of the United States. Anyways, now that's how I personally feel. Obviously, she shouldn't have posted this. Just again, I'm also trying to like separate my feelings from like, you know, objective analysis of what's like smart for her to do in the promotion of the movie. Obviously, this was a stupid thing to post. But listen, we give fair and balanced takes here, do we not? But also, again, with this like Snarky J person, it's like, what? Yeah, like what? You want her? Should she just continue doubling down on her offensive rhetoric, or should she not backtrack a little bit and start trying to be a little less divisive? Like, I don't understand how you're taking issue with this. Like, I'm pretty sure even like a couple days after this, I want to say she apologized for this as well. Like, I don't know.
In peace. It seems like Disney might have tried to teach her a lesson about loving people you disagree with, and that's why she's now changed her tune, and all those posts ended up getting deleted anyway. Look, folks, at the end of the day, you and I both know that the drama behind Snow White is extensive. It has to do with somebody being cast who isn't a problem because they don't resemble Snow White exactly. The real problem here is that this person doesn't believe in the message of Snow White and has continuously trashed the movie, which is the classic that essentially kicked off the success of Walt Disney. And
I don't know, like, you might actually hold this position, but like most of the people that are, like 99% of the people that are mad about it are not like you. Like, people absolutely think that like, I'm gonna say like 70% of the people that are upset, part of it is a racial thing. It just is. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it is. I don't know. Like, they're just, and I'm not even saying that they are racists. I think a lot of them are, they think it's like a DEI, Jews are trying to push diversity, whatever, blah, 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 Elon Musk bullshit, like whatever. A lot of it, I'm sure, are people that are just like wanting to be like autistically faithful to the source material, which I'll just say is stupid because the original Snow White movie has a bunch of drastic changes from the original fairy tale. Because that's what art is. When you adapt source material, you take it and you make it your own. And this Snarky J person might earnestly feel this way, but stop trying to like say that. Stop trying to do the weird like Simpsons meme where you like jump in front of the bullet. You're like trying to like jump in front of the bullet of all the people that do have a problem with it because of race and trying to act like they don't exist.
Disney Studios from the beginning, almost 100 years ago now. It is also a genuinely terrible looking movie, and to be completely honest, sure, I might not be the target audience for it, but if I were a kid and you showed me this
Well, the funny thing is that, I mean, I don't think the target audiences are families, so from that perspective they failed, because this does look horrifying. But my guess is that most of the kids that watch it aren't going to think that this is horrifying, okay? When we were kids, we watched the Polar Express. Enough said.
I would most likely head for the hills, and I would be seeing these in my nightmare and begging a parent to stay behind the bathroom door while I showered so that one of the dwarves wouldn't come and try and do something to me, because looking at this guy feels like a real possibility. And then, to top things off, they cast somebody with the acting range of a wooden plank to play the evil queen.
What did you say?
True! Okay, you know what? Snarky J, I take back everything negative that I said. More people, I mean, there are a lot of people that do this, but I don't care. More people need to start wondering what secrets Gal Gadot knows about Hollywood executives, because I do not understand how this person has an acting career. How? How did you get cast as Wonder Woman? How? Okay? Listen, you were fine in the Fast and the Furious movies. There are not many standards there. But how do you continue getting work in Hollywood?
So quite frankly, this movie seems like it's going really well. With all the reshoots skyrocketing the budget into absolutely astronomical numbers, it seems like this movie is doomed to fail, at least on the basis of making money compared to that budget. The Little Mermaid movie made $500 million, but the budget was so overblown that it actually lost $5 million and change for Disney, which is probably what Snow White is going to do. But beyond that, the real damage when it comes to the live-action Snow White is just the fact that they have cast a Disney princess who hates Disney, everything it stands for, does not believe in love stories, and continuously spouts bullshit on the internet that is only going to make the movie tank harder and harder. So no, we really can't just chalk up the controversy with this movie to the passion that people had for the original. Sure, we like the original, we want to defend it, but really, it's not our love for the original.
It's just like, this just feels very performative, because she just, it's like Rachel Zegler being like Rachel Zegler essentially just said that, yeah, man, I was really surprised at at how passionate people were about Snow White, and, we have disagreements, but I shouldn't be so controversial. And yeah, I just don't think that her new statement should be at all controversial. It's like, I think if you're a reasonable person, you should go like, oh yeah, okay, good on her. She, did the Disney PR ninjas got to her and she's trying to be less divisive. Okay, cool. But again, people like this are never going to let you move on. They're always going to they're always for the rest of her career, or I don't know. Hopefully this anti-woke phase just leaves at some point. But for however much longer these anti-woke people are popular on the internet, it's they're never going to let her live her statements down. They're never going to let her grow from it. They're never going to let her try and reflect on that and change. It's they're always just going to bring this stuff up. Which, again, I'm just going to say this as, and I've always been against cancel culture. I remember back in the day when it was the lefties doing it, I always thought it was cringe, people will always say oh, what about Gina Carano? I like Gina Carano. Yeah, I also don't think that Gina Carano, personally, I don't think that she should have been fired from The Mandalorian. I will say her comments were really bad, though. It's when she said that, being a conservative is like being a Jewish person doing the Holocaust. I remember when she said that, I was like, girl. Oh yeah, the way that she was constantly picking fights with the trans community. It's again, I still wish I wish we lived in a world where you could just kind of give your opinions and then most people were normal. And we're like, okay, whatever. The actress said dumb things. We'll watch the movie if we want to, if it looks good to us. I wish that that's the world we lived in. It was annoying when the left-leaning people were canceling people, and it's still annoying when the right-leaning people are doing it now. And I guess I just hate everybody. Yeah, I wish everybody just stop being cringe. You know what I mean?
That keeps us trashing the remake. It's the trash of the remake that keeps us dogging it into the ground up until the day it gets released. And that's all for me. I've been Snarky J. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to...
But it's yeah, that's also passion, because you're passionate about the original movie. So you're criticizing the new one because you're passionate about the original movie. I don't even, what are you even contesting here? I don't know. It's just, like these types of people are just so unbearable. Like there's no conciliatory attitude like at all. It's like Rachel Zegler's throwing an olive branch. These people are just like spitting in her face because they want to be performatively outraged in their YouTube video. Like, I don't know. It's stupid, but it also is the world that we live in, and there should just be a lesson to future actresses. Don't be unnecessarily divisive, because I also don't want to get away from the fact that to some extent Rachel Zegler made this bed for herself. She did not need to say the things that she said initially. Even if I think that there's some amount of truth to what she said, and that people who are like ultra mad about it just haven't seen the original Snow White since they were like 6 years old. But even with all that being said, you just didn't need to say that. Those were obviously stupid comments to make when you're promoting your Snow White movie. It's just like obvious that you shouldn't shit on the original Snow White movie. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.